Drawing with Alex. That's me. You can see I'm wearing black nitrile gloves today. We're going to be working, it's actually my first sketch, before my warm-up sketch, is going to be sketching out the dimensions for this part. We'll talk about that in just a second. But today we've got a few things on the docket. So, reverse engineering first. Then we're going to be doing a warm-up. I have this image of a close-up of Goku from Dragon Ball, so I'm going to do that as my first warm-up. And then I wanted to do a V-Friends version of that. So I was going to do Balance Beetle because I want to talk about balance today and what I think about that, how it helps me, where I struggle. Because I just had definitely an interesting day that I needed to get my balance again. So we'll talk about that. Then I've got some drawing for my first book, the Book of Uncommon Sense 3D Printing, that I've got some artwork I've got to do. That's why we're doing all the warm-ups, so we can get to the creative zone to hit it hard for our drawing for our first book. Then I've got a rant on AI, because I am building an AI. AG 3D Labs is my company. We started off as a 3D printing company. We do 3D printed parts for people if they wanted to order it. We've designed parts for people, right? I've been CADing in 3D design for 3D printing for 12 years, and I've been using CAD for 20. So that's what the company used to be mainly, and now we've added on the fact that we're building an AI, which is going to be based off of this book that I'm writing, so that it has that source of knowledge from my own experience over the last decade of solving some of the most complex 3D printing problems in the industry, especially with metal. I've done plastics, I've done resin, I've done a lot of different things. There's a lot going on. But I really enjoy these live streams because I actually just get to hang out. Black Label. Alex, what's up, buddy? How are you? Good morning. So there's a lot going on. And so I'm definitely going to talk about balance today because even though yesterday was a very beneficial day business-wise, it started off strong. We had this great meeting with a potential new customer, and then I went off the rails. I mean, nothing bad. I didn't do anything wrong. Just it wasn't as productive after that. I think my battery was just drained. I think I started going into baser habits that are very helpful with the focus I need for this month. So we're just resetting today. This is gonna be good. But thank you for joining us. This is Drawing with Alex. First up, we're going to do this 3D print project work. So a little work first. So I'm going to set this book aside, pull out my handy dandy notebook, and I'm going to focus this in. Thank you for joining us. No, that's not what I wanted. What up, gang? All right. So, this project, well, first of all, can anyone guess what this is? I am reverse engineering this for my customer. They saw that I had a blog about this on my website at ag3d-printing.com. This is back in 2018. They saw the blog, and then they said, oh my God, I've wanted to get this replaced. Can you help me? Any guesses? Any guesses? Let's see. My espresso here. All right, so this is actually the heel of a boot. And so, or it's high heels, I should say. So this is the heel cap that popped off. One of my good friends had this happen to her. They were very expensive heels, and the cap just needed to go back on. So I did a blog where I reverse engineered the heel cap so that it could fit for the boot, for the heel of the shoe, and it worked great. It worked great. I used a flexible filament, and you know, you can see there's definitely some flex here, but so I won't do a very flexible filament, but I've got to color match this. Before I do any of that, I need a model. So that's what I'm doing first. So I've got my board here. Just gonna use this to give me rough measurements. This isn't a crazy difficult part, but I do need to get some kind of numbers. So now I'm going to do like basically a sketch, just like it's a drawing if this was originally designed. This is roughly to this edge. I think I'm like 81. I'm just doing rough dimensions. I don't really care if it's 100% perfect right now. I just want to speed through this, get this drawn as a warm-up. Add up. 10, 20, 30. Let's say that's 32. But it's so cool that a blog that I did almost, what was it, 8 years ago? 10 years ago? Almost 10 years ago. And they just emailed me out of the blue and was like, hey, I also need this. Can you still do this? That's like one of the most fun parts of doing what I do. I mean, you know, there's no option for somebody to get the heel cap replaced. Like, they could bring it to a cobbler, and that's what this person's going to do. They're going to bring the heel to a cobbler, but usually cobbler needs something to work off of. I'm sure they could throw something random, but if it's something custom like this, especially the color, you're probably just not going to get what you want, or it's really expensive for the cobbler to do it. But if they just got the heel piece made, the cobbler could just attach it. So that's one of the cool ways that 3D printing can help. So that's our top down. I'm going to do a side view. But I hope that your week is going all right. It's been very hot here. Very, very hot. Got very hot very quickly. It went from like 40s and 50s to 85 plus. This is the third day. It's going to cool down tonight, which is no problem. But it definitely... The house is creaking. My body hasn't adjusted. So I've kind of stayed out of the, kind of stayed out from outside. Crazy thunderstorm yesterday, though. I saw a lightning bolt streak across the sky, and there was barely any thunder after it. It's probably like 3-4 seconds between thunder and lightning bolt. So it was just this giant bolt that went across the sky. without connecting with the ground. It was one of the longest visible bolts I've seen. And I was just emptying the dishwasher. Kalula, what's going on? Good morning. Hello. Hello. I also love cats. Few more numbers, and then I've got everything I need for this. So that's 4.5 millimeters. Oh, I didn't do this. Cool. All right, so we got the heel designed up. That's all I really need. I guess I can see the angle of, see how far that. That's a close-up view. That area we've got 4 millimeters, and and we already know that this is 4.5 from here. So we can figure out what the angle is with those two things. So we're good to go. So that's it, folks. That's how you would do a technical drawing for reverse engineering something. And it took me 6 minutes. There we go. So that's done. I can batch that off to the next process. We'll get a prototype printed. We'll see how it looks. The other thing that I did with the heel the last time I did this was I made this part a lot taller because there was more that you could actually adhere the cap to on the inside of the shoe. So there's just a lot of open space in there in most of those. So I'll double check with my customer about this, but this will make it a lot easier to glue inside. And if the cobbler doesn't like it, he can just trim the height to whatever he wants it to be. So should be pretty easy for the next step, but I'm happy to be working on that. All right, we'll go on a drawing. again, thank you for joining us. This is Drawing with Alex. My name is Alex. I currently do a lot of things. Right now, I'm in the middle of writing my first book, a book of uncommon sense 3D printing. If you want to learn more about that, go to az3dlabs.com/book. That book is like the distillation of the last 10 years of working in the additive 3D printing world. So there's multiple different types of manufacturing out there, and there's subtractive manufacturing where you use like a lathe or a mill, and you're cutting material, subtracting material from a block of solid material. And then there's additive manufacturing where you're just building a part with material, layer by layer. So I've done that with plastics, metals, resins. I was saying this morning, I even have seen that done with powdered bone, wood, like sawdust, and what was the other one I was mentioning? Did a lot of cool stuff. Ceramics, glass, right? There's a bunch of different things, a bunch of different ways that you can make parts. And I just happen to be one of those people that has done that a lot. So I wrote a book about it. I'm doing all the artwork for it as well. No AI. I've written this all myself. I have an AI part of my business and I'm building an AI. I didn't use AI for the writing, and I'm not going to use AI for the drawing of it. It's going to be a human creative project. I'm excited for that, but I have to get myself in the zone. So we're switching. It's the warm-up drawing. All right, let's get in. So my warm-up drawing, I was envisioning Goku from Dragon Ball. He is one of the great heroes of the anime world. I think if you're a kid growing up watching Dragon Ball, I think Goku's a character definitely to aspire to. He's got morals, he loves his friends, but he also likes to fight the most powerful people in the universe. So it has its drawbacks. But it's a face I've drawn many, many times. Oh yeah. That's Akira Toriyama style. So Akira Toriyama is probably one of the artists that inspired me the most, especially with storytelling too. I also have crazy hair like Goku, so I related hard. What I wanted to do close-up of this battle stare, because that's how I'm feeling today. Trying to get balance again after, for whatever reason, just having an off day. I think we all get there. I think we all have our off days. Goku never had an off day, though. That's the other thing. Goku has an off day, the world blows up. You know? my X algorithm is now just clips from Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super. Which is great. Like, I haven't seen Dragon Ball Super yet, so it's actually kind of nice to see the clips, some of the fights. And my cousins probably like, well, why haven't you seen it? And I get it. I was the guy that got them all into it, so I was the oldest. And they're right. I need to get back into it, but I'll say the clips have made me want to get back into it for sure. But I do really miss Akira Toriyama. It's a shame that he passed away, but I know he had health issues for a while. Talk about an artist that pushes themselves to the absolute limit. Like the cadence that these manga artists would have to do for like the weekly editions of their... It's like, great, oh, you got your artwork, you got your comic, select it. And then all of a sudden, you're just like constantly trying. And that's the life of an artist that gets their project. I don't really know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm rambling. I'm having fun drawing though. I loved the ears that Akira Toriyama would do. They're like complex, but simple. It's not like a lot of lines. And it's like, oh, there's an ear. I hope you're all having a wonderful Wednesday. I hope the summer weather is starting to kick in. If you're just starting fall, I hope it's cooler than it's been. Okay, now for the hair. I loved how big the hair was in Dragon Ball. Goku, so dude's got neck muscles. That's funny. It's looking more like Gohan than it is Goku's son. Which is kind of funny. Wonder what I did. Nice. I see with the hair, and it looks like Goku. Doesn't really go on anymore. I spent a lot of time drawing like the draping of clothing in like an Akira Toriyama manga style. Because outfits were never like something I was really good at. Good insight from Etsy for a product. But yeah, I was not good at outfitting. It's like its own, it's like a style of its own. Gotta have the furrowed brow. All right, almost done with this one. How will I draw this in? Let's talk about balance. So after this drawing, we're going to move over to the balanced beetle, the character in the VFriends universe. I don't know what VFriends is. Go to vfriends.com. There's a quiz. There's over 200 characters, a lot of animals, some humans, and like there's an adaptable alien, which is one of my favorites. There's an adventurous astronaut, again, one of my favorites. But the balanced beetle is an important trait and character I mean, balance, I feel like everyone talks about balance these days. You know, work-life balance, being out of balance, literally with your diet. People got back problems, so there's like the literal aspect of it. But then there's also, how do I balance my day job? Maybe I'm really good at my day job, but when I go home and do the other things, I just don't have balance in that part of my life. There's also, like, for what I'm going through right now, I've got a book that I need to do, so I'm doing a lot of different things every single day. I've got to bite it out in chunks, take breaks, and it's a very creative thing too, so like you can't just go at it for 8 hours non-stop in the same direction. You've got to, at least for me, I've got to bite it off into smaller pieces every day and have some kind of strategy of like, all right, I got to get this done, then I got to move on to this. My book requires artwork, and the fastest way for me to create artwork that I'm going to be happy with, that'll be good to add in for the book, is for me to warm up. So that's what these are. Do what I want to draw, what's inspiring me, that gets the juices flowing, and then we move to the next thing. But because I wanted to do Goku, I decided we're also going to do a V-Friends one. So that's our warm-up. Woo! Not too bad, 30 minutes. Just sending this out, and then we'll start the next one. You know what's really interesting? Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, and just that whole era when I was a teenager, the anime craze wave that hit was really important at the time. Good stories, great artwork. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing with Balance Beetle, same pose. I'm thinking of a panel from the comics. If you want to learn more about V-Friends, you go to vfriends.com. You can look up the characters or the traits. Let's see what I've been searching already. There's the Balance Beetle. Balance Beetle seems to be playing the role of like Yoda in the comic books, which are the canon stories of this universe. It's only 5 years old. The comics are only a year old. And you can see here, we've got Alpha Age Balance Beetle, which is like the Series 2, the trading card game. There's also Gary's original drawings, Gainer Vaynerchuk, the creator. That's Alpha Series. That was before they did the actual canon. And so now that we're in the canon age, a year in, you can see there's a difference. But what I want to do, I'm going to use all of these actually, because I've got to. Let's reset here. Okay. So again, I'm doing a similar thing to what I did for Goku, right? Balance Beetle is simpler, luckily. It's more like a definitely a different shape to his face. Right, you've got the he's got that shape. Like I was saying, he plays kind of like the role of Yoda in the comic series. In canon. Is it canon? Yes, it is. So, anyways. You know, we still haven't learned everything about who are the villains, who are the good guys. Seems that the Balance Beetle is a good guy, or on the what you'd consider the good side. It's also not as black and white as just good versus evil in the View Friends universe, which I kind of like. And Star Wars is similar, right? Like after, yes, there was the light side and the dark side, but after that schism, they're kind of playing on this in the gray area. That feels it feels too angry. It's like we still don't 100% know who the good and bad guys are, but you can probably imagine that it's going to get we'll get closer there. You know, all the good stories and comic series and all that, they have their end game or some. They have a bunch of different ages, and those kind of big events are when things change. So it'd be interesting to see how Balance Beetle plays a role in all that. Okay. Disturb. So balance. Let's talk about balance. So balance is tough, right? Like I don't think it's a thing you reach. Like you can, it's an action. It's not it's an action. It's not like an ideal state. It kind of makes sense when you think of it from the perspective of like, what does it mean to balance, right? If you're like on a board, you're walking down the street, hiking in an area that's really challenging, like you're going to be using balance, and you're actively balancing. You're not just like, I am balanced. That's not how it is. And I can definitely tell you that this past week, or yesterday, I was thrown out of balance a little bit. And that's cool. Like that happens. Like the last thing I need to do as I get closer to the end of the month, which is my goal to put out the book, I gotta make sure I'm doing all the right things to stay focused. There's a lot of stuff these days that can be very distracting. When I started this month, I definitely chopped down the amount of things I was involved in. But that was just grabbing my attention. I turned a lot of alerts off. And I've reached the point of the month where like that 2-3 week mark where behaviors need to stick. So this is that point of the month where my old habits are like, hey, let's try this fun thing right now. I'm like, well, hold on. I've got things I gotta do. So I'm balancing. So this morning I set a timer for how long I was going to troubleshoot my AI, because I kind of just felt like yesterday I hadn't done enough work on that, or that I really felt it was important for me to get to a certain point with it. And I spent a bunch of time working on it when that AI is coming after the book, right? So that the book that I'm working on is the book of Uncommon Sense 3D printing. It's kind of my guide for anyone that wants to get into 3D printing, whether like you work in the industry and you do industrial 3D printing like I did, or if you are just curious about 3D printing and want to get into it, want to buy like one of those hobbyist ones for your own use at home. Like that's where my book comes in handy. And that's also what the AI that I'm building, Chat 3DP, is about. It's about helping you use your 3D printer more. So it's not just sitting there gathering dust. If you've got a part problem, you can chat. If you've got like all of those things need to be built. I'm a heavy user tester. So like one of the things I was really good at the 3D printing company I was working at, and any of the other ones I worked at in my decade of experience, there was like, I like that. I was the person that would take the finished product and test it as like user testing, user experience testing. And I was good at giving feedback to the technical team on what I thought could be improved, where a customer might have issues. And I was also part of like the technical wing of the sales team, so I could talk to sales, I could talk to the engineers who built it, and also translate between those teams. So it was definitely a valuable thing to do, and now that I'm building my own product, I can do that for myself. So I want to get the prototype to the point where I can really push some customer experience, but I just have to make sure that I work on the book, because that could take up all my time. If I really wanted to, I could be full-time just tweaking the customer experience, and it's just not that time yet. So that's what I got caught up in yesterday. I spent a lot of time, well, I spent a lot of time working on the AI, but it wasn't spent on the customer experience. It was spent fixing a bug. Then I spent too much time doing that, and I beat myself up about it, being very honest. So now I'm going back to basics. I'm fighting for balance. Which is what the balance beetle does. Those are the wings. There we go. That's kind of how I feel. That's how I feel today. Not an angry look, but let's get back into this. Fight for balance. today. Never stops. You never. The battle is not to win. The battle, it's like Sisyphus's boulder, right? I think I have the right name. It's like the Stoic idea, right? You've got the stone, you've got to bring up the hill every day. And it always falls back down. You always got to move the stone. And a lot of stuff in life is like that. You can choose which stones you push and what hills you push on. But the stone's got to move. And that's a lot like what balance is, right? If you train yourself and know what you need to do to move that stone up that hill, you can find the system and it can work. And then some days you're tired, you don't move it, or you change the method that you bring the stone up, and then it gets harder. And you're like, why is this harder? Well, you ran out of balance. Something changed. Now go fix it. There it is. Boom. Fight balance is ongoing. Nice. That took less time than the Goku one. Just gonna send this out. So what's everyone doing for Memorial Day weekend if you're in the US? Gonna try and enjoy the weather? You got plans? You're going someplace? You're staying in? I don't know if I have plans yet, but it's probably gonna be relaxed. And I'll sneak in work in there somehow. Word. Okay, cool. All right, my warm-up sketches are done. Here is the fight for balance is ongoing. I like that it went behind the horn, but in front of the head. I don't know why. That's where we started. Goku, balance beam. All right, let's get a clean sheet of paper. So, done. We're doing space applications. So this is literally one of the most fun parts of writing this book were like the last chapters. And that's because I talk about the ways that I see 3D printing affecting, changing the future, what type of applications would be really useful. And I have a lot of them for space. Naturally, I've been podcasting for over a decade with Today in Space podcast. I'm episode 435 is next. So I definitely see a lot of benefit for space applications with 3D printing. One of the big things that 3D printing can do to change space travel, let's go to one of the most famous challenging missions, right? Apollo 13. And while a 3D printer wouldn't have completely just like solved the Apollo 13 issue, you look back at that scene that's very famous in the movie Apollo 13, where they dump the box on the table, all the parts are there, and they're like, we've got to figure out how to get this to fit into this. And they were trying to make sure that they could scrub carbon dioxide in the air, right? If they had a 3D printer on board, someone on the ground could have designed a file. They would have all the information back on Earth, design a quick file to do the adapter. They would know the parts they needed to, 3D print the model, and you've got your adapter. You didn't need to use the duct tape and have the high risk of that. And they could have moved on to solving other problems while the person was designing it so that they could move towards fixing that. So all the time that the ground crew had to figure out what they needed to do to make it work, then write the instructions for the astronaut to then follow. And then the astronaut has to go through it, follow the instructions, assemble everything together. Like, that's... Think about how Apollo 13 could have changed with a 3D printer. And that's how I think about 3D printing in the future, like having some kind of additive manufacturing device on board with you, whether you're on the surface of Mars or the moon, like what could happen very soon with the Artemis program, and also long duration missions, right? Mars in particular, but you're in a spaceship. Like, having the 3D printer on board helps you make parts that didn't exist, and all you need to bring up is the raw material and the printer. And if we're talking about long duration missions, these are going to be big spacecraft, whether it's Starship or like a giant station, like a space station, like assembled parts, kind of like they had in The Martian, where you've got this big place that they live and go in orbit, and then they take a lander down to the surface. So there's a lot of different applications that I think would be valuable, one of which is the Argonaut. So the Argonaut was a design, a project that was done in partnership with NASA, and essentially had a robot that could 3D print things in space outside of the spacecraft. It only got to the point where they could demonstrate they made a beam in space, right? Which a structural beam is very important. Let's say you wanted to augment your mission in space. You have your relay dish communicating back with Earth. Maybe the mission has changed, right? And the orientation, however you need to put your spacecraft, you've got to create a beam arm so that you can look back. Or maybe the antenna arm for the relay broke and you've got to replace it, right? So an Argonaut would be on the outside of the spacecraft. It would get deployed, and then it could start adjusting, fixing the spacecraft. It enables you to change the architecture of the mission moving forward. So having something that can 3D print either structurally or to help you augment whatever it is that you're doing on your deep space mission, it's super important, because who knows how the mission changes, how your hardware breaks down. So something like the Argonaut is going to be really cool. So that's one of the last examples that I give. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a Starship. Because that's the one ship that has the biggest potential to change human space flight right now. And Starship has their Starship Flight 12 mission. Focus. So Flight 12 of Starship right now is tomorrow. I think it's around the 6:30 p.m. I haven't checked yet. I'll double check that. But it's coming. That test is going to be a big step forward if they're able to launch Starship, get it back to the orbital position, have it fly back, right? Perform the whole thing they're going to do in that suborbital position. They've also got to try and catch this at the pad. So that's a big difference. I mean, Starship looked incredible. Like the new updated V3 Starship is really beautiful. It looks like something out of sci-fi. But also, like, just the engineering. Let me pull up a video that I saw the other day as an example. It's so sleek. You can tell that a lot of these parts had a lot of extra processes added to them. So here's Mark Peter Schmidt's view. You know, this is someone that works. I believe Felix does. Otherwise, he takes pictures. But regardless, he may live there. Mark's got good stuff. At Booster Tribe, if you want to follow him on X. But look at the detail on this ship, right? The front-facing flaps are more leeward, right? They're no longer like on the side. They're a little bit more towards the lee side of the spacecraft. Look at the heat tiles on this. You can tell there was just a big leap in manufacturing quality and the way that they approached doing this stuff from the last version of Starship. V2, I think it was. And the engines are beautiful. Find a picture of the engines. Let's continue drawing. Regardless, that's going to be awesome. We're going to be live streaming it today in space. When that happens, we hope that it happens Thursday. That would just be nice to have a day to know it's been moving around a lot, which is, you know, it's not out of the realm. Like, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing that the date keeps changing. They really can't and shouldn't rush getting this new version of Starship out there. They have a brand new pad, Launchpad 2. Starship itself is a whole new iteration of the V3. So you got a new rocket, a new booster, a new Starship, a new launch pad that also is supposed to catch the booster and Starship. So it's a lot of new stuff. So there's really no reason to rush. It's my job as a space science podcaster to follow it. So it's tough to plan around, but you know what? It's going to be glorious when it happens. Okay, so let's just say Starship has some kind of damage, or maybe they want to augment something on the outside. The Archanaut, right, could act as this deployable robot. It's got maybe it's got this 3D printing arm. Maybe something holds it down so that I can walk. Maybe it's magnets, maybe it's some kind of clamp, maybe there's like a track, right, on the outside that this can run. The idea here is that these robotic deployable 3D printer systems could help in emergency situations, or whenever something happens on the mission that they just can't, like if you're at Mars, right, it's going to take 3-4 months at the fastest to send something to Mars that could be a supply. You're looking really at 9 months. And so if something goes wrong, if something breaks, you're not getting a spare part. So they add stuff, they send stuff that's redundant, they send extra things, but you can't plan for every single scenario. That's why I think a 3D printer on space missions is critical moving forward. Maybe. Hey, Nikita. What's going on? Sorry, I was in the zone there. The book's going well. The book's going really well. It's funny, as you're like editing a book, it's not all of it's done at the same time, if that makes sense. So like there's certain parts of the book that I've written and I've gone through and edited and done revisions like 4 or 5 times. And so those are really sharp. Those are really like done. Now I'm going to all the places that I've only done 2, maybe 3, and filling them out. Today was a really good day in that the morning was very effective. I went back to a chapter on binder jetting, material binder jetting, which is the industrial technology that I worked on in the 3D printing industry. You use the same tech as you have on like your 2D paper printer. It jets out an ink, and in this case, the ink is a binder instead of like a color. And so that binder jetting material gets jetted into a bed of powder material. I did a lot of metal, but you can do plastics, you can do a lot of different things. And then you make this in this cake, this sandbox of material, and then those parts can be 3D printed. I had a lot of good writing in that chapter that I didn't have the last time. So that was fun to write because it also took me back to working in the industry, which I had an amazing decade working in the industrial 3D printing world and starting my own business, building my first 3D printer that then became the technology I used to make parts for people and make money that way. And it was cool to go back to it to talk about the benefits of that technology. And the book is called The Book of Uncommon Sense 3D Printing for a reason. Like there's also truth that I'm saying in here that's good common sense, but it's unfortunately not common. And so that's like the whole theme of the book. And after 10 years of doing this, there's a lot of things that are common sense to somebody like myself who's made a lot of parts with these machines. That's not common sense in the industry. So that's just like one example of the value that I'm bringing with the book. And then once the book's done, our AI will be available for people to use that knowledge to their own advantage to be better part makers, whether they're brand new to the 3D printing world or if they are working in it every single day. So that's what I'm up to. Thank you for asking, Nikita. So the book is going well. And this is part of that bookmaking process. I already know who I'm going to use to make the physical books. So I'm going to be self-publishing. It's also going to be a digital book and an audiobook because I've been podcasting for 10 years. I have that voice. So not doing an audiobook is a big mistake. And I have a studio where I can record here. So that's why not? Yes. I'm saying yes to it. So this is one example, right? So on Starship, in orbit, or, we're getting to this point where we're close to the human landing system of Starship, which is the version that they built for NASA. Even that, right, on the surface, the moon, Mars, wherever in the solar system we want to send it, it could literally be making parts. Now, this is a big machine at this size. This is not the scale. But let's just say somehow Starship was able to have a track where this could attach to, or whatever the situation is. You could be building structures on the surface, right? Or whatever moon base, Mars base, whatever you need. So the Archinaut was already taken, so I'm just going to call it the Architect. Do it this way. The Architect, there we go. There's a new name for you. Brand it! No, I'm just kidding. But the Architect could be a type of 3D printing technology that could really revolutionize human missions in space and allow for long duration missions to have a better chance at adapting to the things that you can't plan for. And as I point out in the book, Apollo 13 could have been very different with a 3D printer on board. They weren't ready back then, obviously, and it wouldn't have solved the failure of the mission, but it would have made adjusting easier, especially for that CO2 filter issue. So, drawing what it might look like on the surface. Again, this is assuming that Starship requires this on board. right? I'm theorizing about the potential use of 3D printing. So like, in this case, you know, it's building on the surface of the moon for the astronauts and then putting, you know, a rover there for a size comparison. But again, it's not to scale because, I mean, if the architect is this big in relation, I mean, this has got to be like 20 to 30 feet, I would think. If the Raptor engine is 10 feet tall, then this is, at this scale, it's got to be like 2 engines. So, regardless, not necessarily real life, but we're talking about the future here. We're prophesizing, philosophizing. Now he's a philosophizer. Yes, that's what happens when you're the first one to talk about this stuff in this way. And that's the advantage that I'm trying to take here, is I'm fusing the passions of what I work on, what I do, space and 3D printing, and combining them together to hopefully share a positive view of what we can build and make the future. And that's where I would like, if I can help someone who's never been in 3D printing get into 3D printing, and then they're able to figure out the thing that they love working on, and they change, even if it's just having a 3D printer at home. It's just a young kid who figures out how to start a business and make things on their own and for other customers, right? That's a huge advantage. If we can get more people to become producers and not just consumers, then I'm doing the right, my mission is being accomplished. Not bad. All right, so that's great. That definitely helps me out. So I'm happy that this drawing session has gone well. It's about as long as yesterday, and I actually did more drawing, I think, than I did on Monday. So we've got another part of my book artwork sketched out. These are going to get transferred to my iPad in Procreate, and I'm going to make the digital version where, you know, the background is completely empty, so that this will then become the artwork that I put on the page for the final printing. In order to get here, I'm doing these warm-up drawings to get the creativity flowing. I'm having some fun, right? I'm doing a VFriends character, Balanced Beetle, talking about life, right? Talking about how I'm trying to find balance. This was our first sketch of the day. Little Goku, that furrowed brow. Can't do that eye thing though. But it's been fun. Thank you for joining us, everybody. We will be back Friday at noon Eastern time for another drawing with Alex. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this journey as I write my first ever book and bring everything together. And that's just the beginning, because that book is the foundation for our AI system, Chat3DP, which is going to be available soon. It's already running on my servers. We're building out the full functionality of it, and soon enough, it'll be available as a product. And my decade of 3D printing experience in the book of Uncommon Sense 3D Printing and a lot of other documents that are going to go with it are going to be available for you to be more successful part making 3D printing. So thanks for joining us, everybody. See you next time.